Welcome to the Conscious Living Podcast, conversations to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. An uplifting and inspiring series of conversations and talks with your host, Jackie Woodside. We are educating minds, empowering lives, and enlightening souls to create a world where love prevails. In this engaging podcast, we deliver exciting, positive, transformative talks and teachings designed to elevate your life. Now, let's join our host, Jackie Woodside, for this week's session.
Hello, everybody. Jackie Woodside here for another episode of the Conscious Living Podcast, where we are here to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. Thank you for being an avid listener of this show. We're upwards of 120, 130 shows at this point. And if you haven't gone back and taken a look, we're on YouTube and Apple and Spotify. It's always great if you can leave us a review, because goodness knows that helps more people find us. And who doesn't want to live in a more conscious world? So thank you for being here with us. I'm excited and curious about today's show, where we're going to be getting into some really interesting holistic treatment modalities with Har Hari Khalsa, who is a holistic practitioner with over 45 years of experience helping people to heal and thrive. At the Transformational Healing Universe in LA, he offers advanced regenerative and bioenergetic therapies, things like pro-adjuster chiropractic and stem wave and cyberscan and all kinds of things that sound like really fun and cool that I don't fully understand. So, Har Hari Khalsa, welcome to the Conscious Living Podcast. Do you mind just saying a little bit more about yourself so our listeners can get to know you?
Well, I'm like you said, I've been practicing chiropractic for 37 years, but I say 45 because I was actually doing healing work all the way back to 1980. So it's probably even more than that. But I have an extensive history of yoga and meditation. That's kind of my foundation. I started doing yoga and meditation in 1980 and got into a vegetarian lifestyle back then. When it was not cool and it was not popular.
Right.
Yeah. But my soul had a call. I got it. And I saw back then, even 1980, that things in the world were not super cool. And
what do you mean?
less
What do you mean?
Cool now.
Yeah, right. They're less cool now. What do you mean you saw things in the world that weren't super cool? What do you mean by that?
Well, just, it's hard for me to put my finger on it, but I just had this sense that things weren't the way they should be. Like everything seemed not good for the planet. Like and people, like people were lost. And
gosh, if you were feeling that way in the 80s, how were you doing?
Like right when I came out of high school, I looked around. I'm like, man, there's some really messed up stuff going on here. And it's not like I knew exactly what it was. I just had a feeling, and I'm like, I gotta figure this out. And then when I found yoga and meditation, I was like, wow, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I knew immediately from my very first yoga class that this is what I was supposed to do on the planet, was to be a part of holistic healing, conscious living, kind of like what your show's about.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, it is the path to oneness, peace, and harmony. It's the path to inner peace. It's the path to creating a world that works for everyone, simply for people to wake up and live life more consciously. When you live life consciously, you really can't participate in creating a world that subjugates other people or that marginalizes other people. It really is about creating a world of oneness. And that's a big, big commitment to.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest piece of it right there. Was I was raised, we were talking, like, I'm a Sikh, but I was kind of raised Jewish. I didn't really understand Judaism now, like what I do now. Like back then it was just, you're born in it. It's just a structured thing you go through. You don't really question it. I didn't have a feeling, though, when I went through, like, being bar mitzvahed and everything, that it was true spirituality. It was more just like, do these things, and it's just cultural. It was a
cultural, more of a cultural connection. Yeah.
And which was cool. I appreciate that, but I wanted to have a deeper spiritual connection. And I, that's what happened. I actually been on a spiritual, it's really been more of a spiritual journey for the last 50 years, I would say, and healing is part of it. Like I encountered healing just because I'm really patient numero uno is me. I had to figure out how to heal myself because I really rejected Western medicine for the most part. I mean, I'm not a, I'm not, I don't reject it in the sense that there are amazing people in there that really save lives and help humanity. I rejected Western medicine at a very young age. And in my story, I'll just tell you the story. What happened when I was in college, when I was like 19, 20 years old, I suffered a series of injuries and accidents that left me in chronic pain. And I only knew about Western medicine because my parents never took me to a chiropractor or any kind of holistic healer. And I went to see the doctor. He took one look at my x-ray and he said, you have the spine of a 70-year-old. And I was like 19.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Because of all the accidents or whatever. And so they referred me to physical therapy. And long story short, it didn't really work, didn't do anything. I still was in chronic pain. And through yoga, the yoga teacher told me, hey, you should go really see a chiropractor. I didn't even know what a chiropractor was at that point. I never even heard the term, actually. It was a shock. But from the moment I met this chiropractor, he changed my life. It wasn't just what he did. It was his energy. Nice. He was holistic. He was doing homeopathy, craniopathy. He was working on birth trauma. He was working on the core, things that go wacky in humans, right? And it helped me. He actually did help me. And so I got turned on to holistic healing at that point from my chiropractor.
Wow.
Yeah. And going further back in my history, when I was 16 years old, my very first job is I worked in a heart valve factory.
Oh, wow.
That made heart valves. So I had a kind of a background in they call it a bioengineering, or no, it's I can't think of the term. Anyway, it's a really advanced degree. It's a combination of biology, chemistry, and engineering.
Wow.
So, and I wanted to do that. I think that was my path when I first started college, because I wanted to work for that company as an engineer. And so I learned a lot about Western medicine, and it turned out that company, sorry to say, had the largest malpractice suit in history at the time, because the valves were being damaged by the surgeon when they would put it in the heart. If they used forceps and they nick the titanium, it would cause a blood clot and it would end the patient. So anyway, but I've always been obsessed with technology too. So I have both sides. I have this holistic side, but my practice is high tech.
Yeah.
Blend the, conscious yoga meditation with a high tech quantum world where we're working with energy, hyperbaric, pulse magnetics, red light, quantum scanners, shockwave therapy. Those are just the highlights. But
wow. I'd like to dive in and talk about a few of those. I was quite impressed with all of the different modalities that you have at your center. I mean, it's really amazing. So tell me about, some of them and what do they do? So like hyperbaric chambers, I've heard about that a lot. Yeah. How did you decide to invest in that, and what does it do for people?
Well, the pandemic was like a really amazing time for me because it allowed me to do research. When you're a doctor, unfortunately, holistic or not, any kind of doctor, you're focusing on your patient, you're focusing on getting people better. You don't have time to go out and do research. And during the pandemic, I stumbled into research about hyperbarics. There was one specific study that got released a few years ago, and it basically showed that doing a series of hyperbaric sections over like a 3-month period would increase the length of telomeres by 25%. And I knew about telomeres.
Wait, what? Doing a hyperbaric chamber?
Yes.
That's amazing. But wait, hold on. Tell people what that means. I know what it means because I love this stuff. But to increase your telomeres 25% means what?
Essentially it's like you're turning the aging clock
Turning the aging clock back a lot.
literally decades.
Yeah.
They did that study with 65-year-old people. So they now had the genetic telomere length of, like, say, a 45-year-old person.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the very first study that got my attention. And then as I delved deeper, I ended up studying all the thought leaders in hyperbaric. And, bottom line, hyperbarics, if I were to summarize it, it's the number one most potent healing regenerative tool on the planet. And it's been around since the 1600s. Most people don't know this, but the first hyperbaric chambers came out in the 1600s. And so it's been around forever.
That's crazy. Wait, I thought it was like a high-tech thing. What do you mean?
It is high-tech, but from the 1600s.
And so what does it actually do? What does a hyperbaric chamber actually do?
So basically the hyperbaric chamber works with this scientific theory called Henry's law. And basically when you're it has to do with the pressure of the atmosphere. So when you're in a pressurized atmosphere, the gases in the atmosphere will diffuse into the plasma or the fluid of your body at a more accelerated rate than normal because there's pressure on the molecule. So now you're getting far more oxygen being put into your blood plasma. It goes past the red blood. So your red blood could only hold a certain volume of oxygen, and then you're tapped out. No matter even if you breathe oxygen or however they administer, you only go to a certain level. But if you go in a hyperbaric, you now just raise the level by 30% more oxygen into your plasma, which means all of your tissues are getting flooded with oxygen.
And what does that do for the body?
Well, okay, so that's a great question. It has a profound effect on your genetics, specifically your epigenetics. In the research, they showed 8,000 genes for healing. I'm just giving you this big summary, but 8,000 genes for healing, which is the most of any therapy known, get switched on. Anti-inflammatory, immune regulation, bone healing, stem cell generation, neuroregeneration, vascular growth. I mean, the healing that happens in hyperbaric is beyond anything else.
And how do people use it? Is it like you go once a week forever? Like you go and do a hyperbaric chamber once a week forever? Or how does
hyperbarics can be used in different scenarios. So you can use it for acute care medicine, where, for example, like in a hospital setting, someone has an open wound that's not healing. They'll go in a high pressure chamber with pure oxygen, and in 10 to 20 sessions, the wound will heal, typically. Or they might have carbon monoxide poisoning where they could potentially die. They go in the hyperbarics and it reoxygenates your system. So those are the common medical uses. They also use it for people who've been injured by radiation from doing cancer treatments. It'll help regenerate the tissue. Okay. So those are the medical treatments. We don't do it for that reason, though. We do it more for regeneration, longevity, wellness. So a lot of our patients, maybe they're doing like an elective surgery. They know they need to have a hip replacement, for example. They'll come in for a week before the surgery and a week after the surgery. It cuts the healing time in half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we've seen that with a lot of our patients, where their recovery is just amazing.
Wow. Okay. So you use it more in that sense for anti-aging, for in
recovery, like people who've had like long COVID, we've seen that totally clear up. People with autoimmune conditions get better. Kids with autism, it's fantastic.
Really? Whoa, wait a minute. How does it treat autism?
Because it's neuroregenerative. It regrows your brain. It heals the brain.
Wow. So, I mean, I'm, just kind of your average run-of-the-mill, relatively healthy, 62-year-old aging athlete. What would it do for me?
Well, it'll enhance your recovery. For one thing, it'll if you're a lot of athletes love hyperbarics. A lot of pro athletes are in a hyperbaric like after every game because it literally cuts your recovery time in half.
And how long are you in it per session?
Usually an hour.
An hour.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. I just started going to an integrative wellness center that has one. So,
Get in it. You'll be
yeah,
very
no.
happy.
Again, how is it used though? Just like, would I go every week forever? Like, I still
Oh
don't
no,
understand.
okay. So there's different protocols. So
Yeah.
if it's a wellness protocol, let's say at your age, the optimal thing would be to do 60 dives over a 3-month period. You might not be able to. It depends on everyone's life's different, but I would say between 20 and 60 dives. A dive is when you go in. They call it a dive because you're going down in pressure.
Yeah.
It's going up in pressure, but it's like you're going underwater. And generally like 20 to 60 dives to
That would be almost
optimize.
every day. Wait a minute.
Well, you would go like say 3 to 5 times a week for a month. Okay.
Okay.
That's a good intro to hyperbarics. Like you'll actually get significant tissue repair and healing and an upgrade of your overall vitality.
All right. So now let's go to the next thing. It's not cheap. So, I mean, it's kind of an elite, like to do that, to go 5 times a week for a month or two.
Well, so just our pricing is we're at the bottom end of the pricing scale. We're like around 100, 120 to 150 a session. A lot of centers, I don't know what it's like on the East Coast, but centers here in Beverly Hills could charge 350 to 450.
Right. And do that, 5 times a week.
That's for a high, but that's like we've lowered the price so that most people can do a serious series for $1,000 to $2,000.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. All right. I want to hear about some of these other ones. You do something called cyber scan, which I have never heard of. So what is cyber scan and how does that help people's health?
Okay. Well, CyberScan is a German biofeedback technology. I encountered it over a decade ago. Then my naturopath, who's my main doctor, he did a lot of scanning. He had like over, I think, 5 or 6 different energy scanning devices that he would use. And CyberScan is like the culmination of all the research into bioenergetic scanning, which has been around for, over, I think, 60, 70 years. It's been around a long time.
Wow.
CyberScan is a very unique version of it. It's using scalar waves to measure the DNA energetic imprint of the patient's DNA. So typically a patient will put their hand on the device and then we scan the energy field. Some people call it the morphogenetic field, the energy field. The bottom line is the CyberScan has the ability to capture the energy field of that person. And then we scan the energy field with a database that covers all of the most common pathological conditions. And so we get a very detailed map of the energy systems of their body. It's not a medical scan in the sense of like, I can diagnose your disease. But what it does show us is the energy levels of all the organs. So like you say, your liver, your colon, your heart, your brain. So we can see where there's energetic imbalances, and also we can also detect pathogens, virus, bacteria, parasites. We can see the biochemistry of the body. We can look at all the different processes that are going on in the body. So if there's a deficiency or toxicity, we can detect that.
Wow. And then what? What do you do when you detect it?
Well, it's like a 2-part thing. One is a lot of it's lifestyle coaching. So like, the most basic thing, your vitamin D level's low. We need to get you either in a lot, UV light or out in the sun. That's a basic thing. Or heavy metals might show up. We have heavy metal detox protocols that we put the patients on. So it gives us a focus of that we need to focus with that patient.
Oh, really interesting. All right. I want to ask you about a couple more of these. HBOT and PEMF, PEMF. What are, I've never heard of those.
Well, HBOT, we already talked about. That's hyperbaric.
Oh, that's hyperbaric. Oh, okay.
That's the abbreviation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pulse,
yeah.
PEMF, Pulse PEMF is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Pulse electromagnetic field therapy.
Yeah.
It rolls off your tongue because you say it every day.
Yeah.
But, for all of our listeners who aren't used to this, I want to be sure people are really taking it in. So pulse electromagnetic field therapy, and that is?
Well, it's based on the concept that our body needs voltage. Our cells are little battery. Every cell in your body is a battery. Okay. And those batteries are what control your energy and and your vitality. So when someone is sick or they've had an injury or surgery or an illness, the vitality and the voltage of the cell goes down. When you lay on a PMF device, it's going to raise the voltage. And just by
like a Beamer bed, the Beamer.
Yeah, the Beamer is the very old school. It's about 25-year-old technology. But yeah, that's the basic idea. But the thing with a Beamer, it's very low power. Pulse PMF is a high-powered unit. There's reasons for using both low and high-powered. But in general, the higher the power, the quicker and the more efficacious it is for healing. For example, like a bone break, for example, will heal about 5 times faster on a pulse machine versus not being treated. Okay. And this is a very known thing. It's even FDA recognizes pulse magnetics for bone healing.
Wow.
Or non-healing bone.
Then Har Hari, if it's recognized by the FDA, why isn't it in every, rehab center or doctor's office
Well, there are, the doctors that know about it, like that deal with non-healing fractures, they'll have those, but they're very specific devices. In other words, the FDA has cleared a specific device for a specific condition.
Oh, I see.
The doctors do have those. You just don't know about them because they're only, utilized when the patient doesn't heal. Okay.
Okay.
But we utilize pulse for a different reason. We're using it for general vitality, wellness, and we call it cellular exercise. We're giving the body a workout with voltage, and the body just ends up having more energy so that you can, have better vitality. That's the way we do it. And it's not that we're treating a disease with it. We're treating wellness. So it's a different model than a medical.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so anything else about the PEMF treatment? Is it you lay on something?
Yeah, you lay on it. It's a bed.
Okay.
It's very cushy. It's like a zero gravity bed. You lay on there for about an hour, and the feeling is analogous of getting a deep tissue massage, because you literally feel the energy going through the body. It's causing a contraction through the muscular system. It's a powerful machine, so you feel, and we adjust it to the person's tolerance. We have a saying, knock on the door of pain, but don't go inside. So we bring it to the level where they can feel it. It's comfortable, but not painful.
Yeah. Like a good massage. It kind of hurts a little, but it feels good.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I can resonate with that. All right. And this one I have heard of, red light therapy. Tell us about that.
Well, we use a bed called a trifecta red light bed.
Oh, it's a bed. That's also a bed.
It's a bed. It looks like a tanning salon, but it's all red light. So it's red and near infrared. We use 2 different wavelengths. It's actually 4 different wavelengths, but it's in the red and the near infrared range. And bottom line on that bed is we're working on the mitochondria. Okay, so mitochondria have what are called chromophores, which are light sensitive antennae. So it literally picks up the light of the red and the near infrared and activates the production of ATP, which is what your cells need to function properly. So it's increasing ATP. What are the results? Well, we've seen the total reversal of symptoms of MS. We've seen the regeneration of failed hearts, where people were having a heart attack every week for years and literally had defibrillators implanted in their body. And after using a red light for a few times, they no longer were having heart attacks.
Oh my gosh.
We had another guy who his ejection fraction was under 20. He couldn't walk across the room. That's how weak the heart was. After a month of being in this chamber, his ejection fraction went to 37, he could do his normal normal activities again.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, Harari, I'm really curious. Like when a patient comes in with, whatever they're presenting with, chronic pain or heart condition or a wound that's not healing, how do you know which of these therapies? How do you develop your treatment plan of, you have, and we've only gone over a handful of the ones that you have at your center. How do you decide, like, what way?
It really all comes down to their very first visit when I'm with the patient and I'm doing the cyber scan gives us the insight of what's happening with that person. So that, we'll know, for example, if their ATP system is low, right then that's an indicator for red light.
And the cyber scan tells you that.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us a kind of a clue.
Yeah.
So, I basically like Sherlock Holmes. I'm like investigating, I'm asking the patient what's going on, what's happening, and then from that, we kind of can build a protocol.
That's amazing. I know I'm assuming you can only work with patients who come to your center, or do you do remote work also?
I would say there's about 20% of my clients are remote because patients can send me the biological samples for the cyber scan. So people will send me hair or saliva or both, and I can scan that because it's their DNA. So it'll literally pick up their energy signature, and I make remedies. So part of what the cyber scan does is it makes a remedy card. It looks like a little credit card.
Yeah.
It has a magnetic strip, and that's where we basically program that with their exact frequencies that were analyzed from the scan. And then that acts like a homeopathic remedy, but the thing that's different between this and a homeopath is the homeopath is guessing on what's going to work. This is exactly what the patient needs based on their scan. So it's a perfect hand in glove fit as far as the energy, and the results are actually phenomenal. We've been using this for over a decade now.
Wow. I mean, I feel like, I'm having this conversation with you and I know we're speaking English, but it almost feels like, you're speaking a different language about healing and healthcare and wellness than what we're accustomed to with.
Yeah, it's a different model. It's a totally different model. But a lot of it is, if when I look at it in like from a higher level, everything we use is a force of nature. Oxygen is a force of nature. Electricity is a force. Light is a force. Heat is a force. Cold is a force. So all these different elements of nature actually have been used for thousands of years in healing. But, because in the last 100 years or so, we've had that programmed out of us to believe in drugs and surgery versus using nature to heal. So all we're doing here is we're bringing these different elements of nature back into the healing realm, but we're potentizing it, right? Because people need that extra energy now because we're getting beaten down from so many different levels. We need to potentize the energy. So instead of just standing naked on the ground or barefoot on the ground, we need a pulse magnetic field that pumps the energy up.
Yeah. Wow.
Significantly more.
Wow. That's a really good way of describing it. We are so beaten down with, the poor nutrition, the foods, the electromagnetic energies of 5G, and just the stress, the toxicity of the culture that we're living in. There's a lot of being beaten down these days. So
we're just reversing that whole process with therapies, basically.
Wow. Well, Hari, this is fascinating. So the name of your center again, so people can find
Transformational Healing Universe.
Transformational Healing Universe. Wow. And you are located in LA, but you can work with people remotely. I'm sure people are going to want to get in touch with you, or at least look at your, at your center and what you're offering there. Congratulations, Har Hari. I'm very impressed with the depth and breadth of healing modalities that you are bringing to the people in LA and around the world through what you're doing. So thank you for coming on the show to talk with me about this. Anything you want to say to close up?
No, I just want to, really thank you for having me on. And, it's a real honor. And I hope people have a great holiday if they're hearing this.
Oh, yeah, this will probably go after the holidays. How about a great new year? A great new year.
I hope everybody has a great year and they look into this stuff because it can really change your life.
Yeah, it really is a game changer. You're bringing in a whole new evolution of health and wellness, and I think it's really important. So I wanted to have you on the show. So thank you for bringing all this knowledge and that people can go and get more information. I think it's very, very valuable. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.